Those listening to the recording, all you missed was the pledge of allegiance. Sorry. Tina, has the agenda been posted?
Yeah, the agenda has been posted.
Can we make a roll call, please?
For our commissioner on Zoom, if you can unmute your mic at this time. Commissioner Banks is excused. Behrman,
Present.
Burke,
Present.
Caldwell,
Present.
Corcoran,
Present.
Dada is excused. Delgado is absent. Beltman is excused. Fong,
Present.
Hughes. Hughes, your mic is muted. I'm gonna put you as in the meeting. Martin,
Present.
Michaelis,
Here.
Park, here. Ty,
Here.
Guerrero is absent. Wise,
Present.
Wiseman, and Young.
Present.
Thank you, we have a quorum.
Thank you all who have come so far away to join us live under these new meeting rules, so I appreciate the everyone showing up for this. I know that for some of you, that's been a challenge, so thank you for those of you online, thank you again for joining us and for following the rules. I know this is not easy for some of you who are not living in Palm Springs. Anyways, do we need to make any changes to the agenda? Motion to move forward, please. Second. All right, thank you. Christina.
Roll call vote, Commissioner Behrman.
Burke.
We're voting to accept the agenda.
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Corcoran,
Yes.
Fong,
Aye.
Hughes. Hughes, your mic is muted. Commissioner Hughes. Martin,
Aye.
Michaelis,
Yes.
Park. Yes. Ty. Wise,
Yes.
Wiseman,
Yes.
Young.
Here.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Christine, any public comments tonight?
We do not have any scheduled public comments. Is there anyone in the meeting that would like to provide public comments at this time? Seeing none, is there anyone on Zoom that would like to raise their virtual hand to provide public comments at this time? Please raise your virtual Zoom hand if you'd like to provide public comments in the meeting. Thank you, that concludes public comments.
Great, let's go to approval of minutes for September 20th. 2023, that was in your packet. I need a motion to approve those minutes, please. Move to approve. Okay. Second? Second. Great. Christine?
Roll call vote, Commissioner Behrman,
I abstain and it's not here.
thank you, Burke,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Corcoran,
Yes.
Fong,
Aye.
Hughes. Hughes, your mic is muted. Martin,
Aye.
Michaelis,
Yes.
Park. Abstain. Thank you, Ty,
Yeah.
Wise,
Yes.
Wiseman,
Abstain.
thank you, Young,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you all. Let's move on to our discussion action items. The first one is our electronic use policy.
Good evening, Commissioners. On January 4th, the commission was notified about the city's mandate for all city board and commission business email communications to be conducted through a city email account. Beginning on February 1st, all email communications to the commission, which includes the distribution of the agenda packets, will be sent to the commissioners' city email accounts. If you need assistance setting up your email account, you can contact the IT help desk directly, which the instructions and the information were provided in the email that was sent to you. Or I can assist you with setting up a time to meet with an IT staff member here at the airport for in-person assistance. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions on this item?
Just a comment. I've been working with IT staff here for the last half hour. And he was not able to get this new address to come into my Outlook. So he suggested, I sent a note to you, Christina, to escalate this to the IT folks across the street and see if they can resolve it, because Otherwise, you have to go online as well as use your regular outlet, which is not really handy. So it's coming to you, and if anybody else has issues, let us know.
If we find anyone's having extended issues, we can definitely postpone for another month until we know everyone is set up.
Okay?
Yeah, that was that something was,
Thanks a lot, Kevin.
it was a restriction that was not permit you to keep other email accounts on your Outlook if you have to access this email because of firewalls and stuff. Everything that there's fire.
Okay, if anyone else is having this issue and you'd like for me to pursue how the IT can get this resolved, please let me know and I'll work on that for you.
No, I appreciate the feedback, and
Yeah,
it doesn't make it any easier.
yeah, doesn't make any sense.
Yes, but thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions on that? All right, AB 557.
Commissioners, on January fourth, the commission was also notified about the AB 557 teleconferencing of city council board and commission meetings. And that on December 14th, the city council had mandated that all city boards and commissions must meet in person beginning on January 1st. I have spoken to each of the commissions with the exception of one to confirm that the notification was received, and we wanted to just double check to see if anyone has any questions on this mandate. And we also have City Attorney Jeremy Holm with us this evening, if anyone would like to ask the attorney on this matter. Everyone's good? We like having you here with us in person.
Just want to acknowledge the chicken, so I don't mean to be. This idea that if Kevin is at home, that we have to publish his address in Palm Desert and other people can show up in the living room for our meeting. Am I understanding that's the deal?
Jeremy, would you like?
Yeah,
to-
so just to provide a bit of context, so yes, that is the deal. So what happened was, as of January 1st, 2024, the COVID era changes to the Brown Act expired. So, as a result, we're going back to the original Brown Act rules, which for teleconferencing require access to the teleconferencing location. So, you could potentially have members of the public show up to your house and they have to have the opportunity to participate in the meeting from that location. In my experience so far, knock on wood, I haven't had any knowledge of a member of the public showing up to a commissioner's house to attend, but this has been the way it's been for basically pre-COVID. The joke was that if a commissioner or a city council member wanted to participate from, let's say, a vacation in Hawaii, they would have to post their location at their hotel room, and then the joke was a member of the public would fly out to Hawaii to attend from that location. So I understand it's a little bit silly, but we're back to the pre-COVID Brown Act rules. And just to mention a little bit about AB 557. So AB 557 basically creates the similar scheme that what we were going through with COVID. So if in a state of emergency, in a governor declared state of emergency, then the city and all the commissions could revert back to teleconferencing how it was during COVID. But that's only available if there's a governor declared emergency again. So, in some, we're back to how it was pre-COVID.
Jeremy, we did have a commissioner that had a question about being in a hotel room and not knowing their hotel room number specifically until they get to the hotel, which then it would be posted on the agenda. Do you know how we would handle that situation?
Well, it depends. It depends on when we're in that 72-hour window or not. I think if you post it at the hotel and you can update it potentially with a room number, or if you can, to be honest, I think I would actually recommend using a business center. If you're at a Marriott or something, rather than your actual hotel room, maybe that would be probably better for privacy reasons. So try to use the hotel lobby, use a business center and everything. I know it's silly, but this is where we're at now.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you for indulging me in.
Commissioner Weissman, you have a question?
Jeremy, there are some other rules that the city council decided they kind of just didn't want to deal with, right?
Yeah.
That create emergency situations or.
Yeah, that's correct. So there was another bill adopted last year, AB 2449, which created some exceptions to the standard Brown Act rule. So in cases of medical emergencies, or if there was a family emergency, you would be able to participate remotely without having to post your location. So essentially under the COVID era rules, for a limited period of time. From my understanding is that the city council, city attorney's office and the city clerk got together and decided to not elect to allow AB 2449 to be used. It can create some complications because you could potentially have to convert a meeting into a Zoom meeting anywhere up to the start of the meeting, essentially. So instead of having to deal with those issues and tracking the amount of absences and for the purposes of AB 2449, I think the city just elected to go with the simplest solution of reverting back to the original Brown Act rules.
Commissioner Wise, you have a question?
Yes, then more than one commissioner be in one spot, and we all go to Kevin's house?
I mean, you can participate from any teleconference site listed on the location. So if Kevin is willing to have you all there, you can participate from Kevin's house.
Yeah, but I suggest you send a menu. We decided if we're coming to your house for cocktails and everything else, but they're doing the same. All right, thank you for indulging us in that. And enough said. Enough said. We're good. Victoria, financial summary, please. You have the floor.
Hello, good evening, Chairman Corcoran and members of the commission. My name is Victoria Carpenter. I'm the Airport Administration Manager at Palm Springs International Airport. I am actually calling today from Austin, Texas. I don't know if you've heard about the weather over here, but it is freezing. It's like 38 degrees. One night it was 17 degrees, and I honestly miss the Palm Springs weather, and I'm ready to go back home to that nice 74 degrees. So I'm attending a risk management conference that's a part of the Airport Council International, ACI, and I'm finding it very informative to learn about all airport risk and liability. So more to come on that at a later date. So in regards to the airport financials, I'm just going to quickly ask if anybody has any questions in regards to the financials. I will say, just going over the different funds, all of the funds have a surplus. Fund 405, which is the customer facility charges, has a surplus. Let me share my screen really quickly. Share screen, it's gonna look funny, let's see, here we go. So let me minimize this. So Fund 405, oops. All right, 405 has a surplus of about $2.4 million. That's our customer facility charges. The customer facility charges are the ones that we increased our rates from a per transaction to a per day basis up to 5 days maximum. You'll see that we do not have any operating expenditures. That is because the operating expenditures that we had budgeted for this fiscal year, we don't have any expenses for it. So some of them included the acquisition of the property south of Kirk Douglas Way, which was about $8.8 million. And then the relocation of the rental car facility, queuing line, and ticket counters and office space as a result of the baggage claim project, which we're still pursuing those projects and still pursuing trying to potentially acquire this property for the airport. So that's why there's not any expenses there for our Fund 405. Fund 410 is our passenger facility charges. Those charges are assessed on ticketed passengers. We get $4.39 per leg of a traveling passenger. Right now, we have a surplus of $2.3 million. You'll see that there are some expenditures in that budget that show that there's about $3,000 where we expense to our bond consultant to help review our bond and manage our bond fees. We will see principal and interest hit this account as well. And then any kind of charges that we're going to see for the design and construction of the baggage handling system with use of passenger facility charges would show under this this account as an expenditure and transferring it into our Fund 416, which is our special capital projects. Our Fund 415 Airport Operation and Maintenance Fund, we do have a surplus of $3.8 million. You'll see that our operating revenue is about 16.7 million. When compared to last year, it looks like a drastic decrease. But last year we also received about $12 million in COVID relief funds. So that was one-time revenue that we received last fiscal year that we will no longer receive for future fiscal years. The next few pages just goes into detail in regards to the revenues and the expenditures of the different cost centers that are a part of Fund 415. And then 416 is our Airport Capital Project Fund. You'll see that it shows there's a deficit of $4.6 million, but that's not anything to worry about. This is primarily because we are still waiting to receive some reimbursements from the FAA for some grants that we collect on quarterly, as well as a transfer from the Airport Operation and Maintenance account into this Special Capital Projects Fund to help fund our capital projects. Our cash summary, you're going to see we are very healthy in our cash flow, especially for our Fund 405. You'll see that there's about $41 million in there. And again, that's a result of our transaction fees that increased from a transaction to a per day up to 5 days, maximum $45 that we could collect on a transaction of rental car transactions. The point of us collecting and beefing up this account with cash flow is so that when we eventually get to the point of designing and constructing the consolidated rental car facility, there will be enough funds in this account so that if we decide to take out any type of bonds, we'd have that money sitting in there so that we can help fund and fund a portion of the bonds and a portion of the expenses and have enough money to get the bonds and for the consolidated rental car facility. The last slide shows the grants that we have. As you could see, we still have about 15.9 million in grant funding, and that is from the BIL, Bipartisan Infrastructure Law grant. We receive $5 million a year. So we'll still receive an additional $10 million over the next 2 years. And we have the total of 25 million earmarked for our baggage claim. So once we get that project up and running and going, you're going to see that those BIL funds dwindle down and reimburse the airport for the project. That concludes the financials for the month ending through December 31st. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions? Victoria, great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Marketing update.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so my update is in your packet this time around. So first, we'll start with a quick air service update. So we have scheduled seats in there. February is down 2.9%. March is up 3.3% over last year. April had a slight shift from being up by 0.2% being down by 0.3%. Just very minor change there. May, heading into the summer, May and June were up over 4% both months, which is great. Considering last summer we were actually negative seats, so we're going to be up over last summer, which is good. So I think a lot of that is the previous summer in 22, maybe think my year is right. We got a lot of capacity added by the airlines all at once, which is too much for our market to absorb. So last year they pulled a lot of that back. Performance improved, their yield, the revenue performance improved for all the airlines. Are very happy with our summer last year. So they're slowly back in adding capacity, trying to slowly grow the market. adding more, steady pace, be more reasonable that the market can absorb and actually, be able to be successful with it this time. So positive notes going into summer 2024. Next page, total passenger count for 2023, we had another record year. We had 3,237,325 total passengers, which is up 8.6% over 2022, which was our previous busiest year on record. So good news on all fronts there, and also more justification for the much needed campus and terminal expansions we're going to have to take on, so. Advertising concessions up.
Commissioner Mark.
Oh, sorry, yes.
I got a question. So I'm kind of nervous, so I was looking at the data. That 8.6% year-over-year growth is great, but it all occurred in the first quarter. The last 3 quarters of the year were flat to down. By quarter, the last 9 months, trust only grew 1%.
Yeah, summer was down, but at the end of the year.
Yeah, so it's,
Yeah.
so my question is, are we coming out of the COVID travel bounce? And
Last
travel
summer.
plateauing, and we should expect our travel not to be growing anywhere close to the rates that we've seen the last few years.
Absolutely. Last summer, or not last summer, the summer, year before that with international travel, dampened, people did a lot of domestic travel. So we had a big travel boom here, as did many other destinations, right? Then last year we actually saw negative numbers, which was pretty consistent across most US destination airports because people were able to go to Europe again. I talked to airlines last summer. This is the demand for European travel was just off the charts practically compared to previous years. And so that's where that's softening there. So yeah, so I think now will actually be more in a steady kind of, I would say more normal, like pre-COVID times, kind of steady passenger traffic counts and growth for the next few years, I think. So,
If you further look at your scheduled seats, that's gonna be flat. The forecast is flat year over year. So is there any budget issues that we have that we assume 2024 was gonna be 5, 6, 8% growth? And if we only grow 1 or 2%,
no, we only budgeted for 1% or 2%.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, we were budgeting for about 3% or 3.5%. Victoria will have to correct me on this. This fiscal year, next fiscal year, I directed the staff for 1.5%. So we should be on track for 1.5% growth.
okay. And then does that feel okay with the 4% growth forecast you have in your long-term plan? Is that a concern that maybe we're overspeccing the demand?
No, that is not a concern. I believe we're gonna still see that level of demand. It's probably not gonna bear out year over year, but you'll see the trend line continue to grow at around that rate.
Thank you. Thank you.
So moving on, advertising concessions. So the last commission meeting in December, I was asked to do a survey and sampling airports from around the country, see how our revenue share with views stacked up. So just a point of reference, Palm Springs, we get 50%, 57% of gross sales for all advertising concessions, and views gets 43%. So I started here with non-hub, I classify these by the FAA hub status, so non-hub, small hub, which is what Palm Springs is, medium hub and large hub. And I also put their 2022 employments in there for comparison's sake. I didn't do calendar year 2023 because the FAA list that has everything compiled has not been prepared yet for 23. So I reverted back to 2022. That report, we are actually probably, I would consider punching above our weight when it comes to advertising concessions contracts. Most other small hub airports that I sampled are at 50% or 45%. Tucson, Arizona, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, both which have larger passenger bases than we do, and actually more level and flat, meaning they don't have the peak of mounting of their passenger traffic like we do with our tourist season. They only get 45%, while we're getting 57%, which is great. Also to point out here too, Sacramento, California, which is a medium hub airport and probably almost 3 times the size we are, they're only getting 46%. One that's not on here because the information was sent to me after it was sent to you guys was Kansas City. They're a medium hub, 4.79 million employments versus our 1.499 on this chart. They're only getting 50%, so we're actually getting more than them. Orange County, which of course is larger than us, gets slightly more. They're a medium hub, but they're only getting 3% more than we are getting. So based on the survey that we saw and people we spoke to, we are actually getting a really good deal on our advertising concessions contracts, at least for the airport split that we got. Based on other airport comparisons. There's also a question on what, I don't know if it was the meeting or whether commissioners asked me, on what all Fuse does for us, kind of what, how they earn their 43%, correct? So I've got a short list here, sorry that it's not in the packet, but they handle all production and installs of advertising on the airport campus, be it digital or static ones, also maintenance on those, if anything. If any of the static ones get damaged, they will produce a new one, come out and replace it, they're usually really quick, usually a 48-hour turn time, most of the time, they're really on top of it. They handle all in-person meetings with clients. Actually, most of their meetings with all of our advertising clients are actually done in person here in the valley. The previous vendor would either email or just like a phone call. Well, I actually had a couple of clients that have been advertising with us with 8 to 10 years. So the previous vendor never once stepped foot in their office. The Fuse guys, when I first met them, went in, sat down with them, talked to them, went over all the options. And the client actually signed back on and increased their spend with us simply because Fuse went out into the in-person meeting versus just a lazy emailing, right? They also handle all contracting with our clients, billing and collections when people don't pay. They handle all the maintenance and operation of all the advertising and then the fixtures that we have out there. They also do proof of ad placement, and for proof of ad placement, they actually physically have to come here to the airport, take a photo of the ad on display where they have a terminal to send to their clients. They're out here probably at least every other week, I think. I see Fuse here on campus more in these last 6 months they've been here than I saw the other vendor in the 2 years before, 2.5 years before Fuse even came on. So they're really impressing me just how they handle the relationships here in town or how they represent us to the community. They also do terminal tours for clients. They'll bring clients out and walk them through the whole terminal, show them all the different options and things we can do. Their capital investments, so all the fixtures are getting put in, all the new TV screens and what's still to come. That's a $400,000 investment that's actually coming out of their pocket to come here. At the end of the 3-year contract, all investments revert to ownership of the airport. So they didn't get to take that with them, they become ours. They source new clients and new partners. And one new partnership they've recently worked together is the Gallery Classic, the golf tournament. So they are offering them a $15,000. They consulted with me on this, and we approved it. A $15,000 advertising package in terminal. We discounted that by about 40%. And for that 40%, we are going to be basically the official airport partner of that tournament, having our logo on a lot of the on the website, on the scoreboards, and all throughout. So people who watching our community can see International Airport realize, you know, we are the best choice for flying to the valley for a golf tournament or whatever event. So we basically work the trade where we get some great exposure, but no money out of the airport's budget going towards that. So they're bringing new things like that too. And this kind of partnership, I'm working some other things too, partnerships with others. We do a conference, film festival, talking to the Firebirds now about doing a trade and different things that are coming on. But this is some new things that Fuse is bringing to the table that our previous vendor never did. They really think outside the box and bring all kinds of great ideas to us that help us not just, you know, get more revenue for the airport, but help us get more publicity, you know, and not have to take out a budget for it. So at least in my mind, I think they did a pretty good job. So do we have any kind of questions on this so far? Any thoughts? No?
Commissioner Fong?
I wanted to back up to the passenger cabins.
Oh, the previous slide, yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. I know it's kind of recent, it's still fresh, but do you think that we may need to recalculate or re-budget for the passenger facility charges going into Fund 410, given the granting of the MAX 8? Is that gonna change any numbers here?
Oh, the max 9s?
Pardon me.
Oh, okay, yeah, the max 9s. Okay, sorry, budgeting, I don't know, but so for instance, we only have about 4 to 5 max 9s scheduled in here per day, and they're not all getting canceled. So something like the airlines have been able to do tail swaps and put other aircraft on the routes. Most of Alaska's are scheduled out of San Francisco, and they have other aircraft available. There are days where they have some canceled. I think there was one day where they canceled 5 flights out of here, but for the most part, we're gonna be having 2 or 3 a day. I don't think the impact's gonna be that substantial that we'd have to redo the budgeting for it.
Is that mostly Alaska?
Yeah, Alaska and United are only 2 US operators of that aircraft right now. And so Alaska, I think United had them on Chicago, but I think they've since swapped those out for a different aircraft, so. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll go on. So the next page, additional updates on advertising, but I'll go call it a concourse activation space. That's a space of the experiential, if that's the right word, the space that's gonna go inside the concourse. That's the design phase. I'm gonna review those with Commissioner Burke and Commissioner Feltman. Commissioner Burke, I know Feltman, he's not here today. I got I saw preliminary design for it today, and I think actually I'm gonna get with you guys tomorrow and just schedule a Zoom and have Fuse walk you through. So a lot of parts to it, instead of me kind of being the go-between trying to communicate what's what, I think it's actually hear it directly from them. You can ask questions. I think is how we're gonna do. So I'll reach out to you and Commissioner Feldman to get that set up. Let's see, I also want to put in here because we're at the 6-month anniversary of Fuse's advertising concession agreement here with us. The first 4 months of the budget year, July through October, we plan to have 0 revenue because we anticipated a change to all the fixtures and basically not having a space to sell advertising on as we did the changeover. Fuse was able to stage it, we kept some things active, but while some things were getting changed out. So in that time, we budgeted for 0 revenue. We actually were receiving a little over $103,000 during that time period, which was great news. And also put November, December, and January, because as of November, they actually started outperforming our previous vendor. And I think a lot of that, again, is because we're really going out to the community, meeting with people in person and talking to the options and actually show them everything we have to do. So people are increasing their spend with us. Plus, we're also bringing in a lot of new advertisers. And so I put a little sample of some of the advertisers there to the right for you guys to look through. Disney Scotino Community is one of the newest ones coming on. And let's see, any questions on that page? Okay, and then just some other updates. So we got some feedback about some of our communications for the concessions program. So we're reinstalling a new 6-foot by 4-foot mall style directory sign just as you walk out of security. They'll basically have a "You Are Here" star, the map of the airport showing all the restaurants, retail, restrooms, all coffee shops, everything's on there. And this, we had some feedback. I want to say thank you to Commissioner Burke and Feldman for helping me giving some feedback on the design of that one. I actually sent out a quote today, so we hope to have that installed. My goal is hopefully by end of next week, maybe the week after. I don't know what the printing schedule is, the printer, but the one that we use, that I use, is usually pretty quick turnaround. So hopefully have that up within a week or two. We're also going to order.
Sorry, Daniel, one quick question. I know that Commissioner Feldman had questions and emails back and forth about operating times.
Yes.
Do you know where we landed on putting operating
Yes.
times?
Yes, so basically all the feedback, so on the right, originally we had just like food and beverage, and we have retail, we have a third category, which is just coffee, because coffee is very important, people will find here. And then also on each header, so food and beverage, and then there's a header for retail section, one for the coffee section. It says generally, and at what time that sector opens until, and they all close about 30 minutes prior to the last departure of the day. And then put a QR code people can scan to get exact hours of each location, because those can vary based on time of year or time or day of week. So we kind of put the general hours of each one, then a QR code so you can go get the exact hours of operation if they need to. And let's see, so we also have, so we have the navigators post security that started a few months ago. I think it was September, October. I think it was September we put them out back in the sterile area. Another way to help kind of make them more visible to passengers, so they can ask information while ordering. An outdoor podium is going to be fully branded with PSP, look at with bright colors for information, and then a brightly colored umbrella for them. They'll be able to stand that in the courtyard. Just we'll put it in an area that everybody coming out of security will be able to see them right away and go ask a quick question if they want to. Also, the navigators were reported a little bit. They're kind of standing up in their uniforms right now, and people kind of look at them a little silly when they come to try and help them because they don't quite understand what the navigators are trying to do. They don't realize they're information volunteers, right? So something to identify them a bit more, so we're going to put out there and kind of help them, the passengers, a bit more. We're trying to get that ordered this week. And then additional temporary directional signage being planned for the 9 cities opening, which got pushed to March. So those will be reinstalled. So like the yellow signs under the courtyard, flight information monitors you see next to the coffee shop, and some other overhead signage we're going to add as well. But I'm just waiting for those to go with the 9 cities opening to make sure everything's accurate at the time it goes up. So
We're gonna do anything special with the opening in 9 cities?
we are, yeah. So that's going to be the first new restaurant here opening. Jake's actually started working on some ideas in advance. We're thinking of sort of a grand opening, inviting all like local stakeholders and things like that. So as soon as some details come together and we get an opening date finalized, then we'll get something set up. We're thinking we'll let them get open, run for a few days, and then we'll have probably do the evening event. If we time it to start about 5-ish, then all the departures of the RJ or to the Agua Caliente concourse will be gone, and then we can just take over the whole space just for our grand opening party. So we're thinking probably just a few days after we'll call it the soft opening, yeah.
Okay.
Let's see, I already talked about the Agua Caliente design, activation space design. Customer experience program, we talked about that. I think the meeting was a November commission meeting, I forget which one. And we were gonna get a consultant together, actually, they're speaking with Kevin. we're gonna issue an RFP instead of trying to look out to build out a more robust program with like a long-term, maybe 5-year, plan for customer experience program. So we'll be working with, marketing operations chairs to get the scope of work together, plus some staff, some hospitality and tourism staff from Visit Greater Palm Springs. So we get that all put together, and then hopefully, my goal is to have the RFP issued, in March, and then hopefully have everything wrapped up by the end of the fiscal year, if possible, so. And that's it, my report. Any questions or additional questions?
Commissioner Paul?
Yes, I noticed on some of the advertising at BT, it took me out. I noticed that they're using, I don't know, a motto, a tag, a byline, a hashtag, if you know, you know. Is that, going to be the airport's motto, what is that?
No, that's just part of our advertising, that our advertising agency put it together. It's part of our, this post-holiday campaign that started around, we launched, I think, December 15th or something like that. Basically, it's just kind of going on how special airport is, and everything it offers, and kind of plan on play. And for those who know, you know. There's been other kind of taglines, other companies that use something along the same line. That's just what we're doing in this current, this current ad campaign right now.
Questions? Great, thank you, Dean. Concessions, tell us something good.
Oh, wow. All right, so you should have the projected opening dates in your packet there. And I just want to preface this update that there are still a lot of moving parts that we'll discuss a little bit here that are kind of still in process, and our plan is still to take some things to the ad hoc committee that you know, we're still waiting for some detail, and I'll go over that in here. So you kind of know what those things are with the schedule. So going down the list, starting with IRPSP and vending. This is the passenger vending that is upstairs in the Bono, near the women's restroom. So there's a slight delay in getting started due to taking longer than expected to find a contractor, but MRG have finally selected their GC. They're on board. I actually met with them today. So they're trying to get started on a lot of these areas that I'll review here. So I don't see the whole area being finalized until probably March. I really haven't adjusted too many of the dates yet because there's kind of so much in flux. So I stuck with a lot of the dates, and most of the dates are from the previous month. Because there's kind of so much going on, so much that we've been waiting for. But there are temporary vending machines up there currently, so there's really no loss of service. So even if something like that is okay, it really doesn't impact this one. The paint door, just going down the list, we're currently working through some possible change here. From vending to a retail space with coffee. So that's pretty exciting for us because nobody bid on that space. We did the bid, and you know, we're excited to work with MRG to kind of turn that space into a retail space with some available fresh coffee. The concept has been approved by MRG management, and we're now waiting on kind of potential rendering of the space. And then we'll end up taking that to the ad hoc committee to review. So that does put us back a little bit for the pink door, but we currently have vending there now. So just like the upstairs Bono vending, there's really no loss of service, but the pink door will get shifted to later in this year as we go through design and permitting of the new space. Assuming that all gets. Hey Joshua, this will be slightly delayed starting as well, for the same reasons, above with MRG. You know, getting kind of a late start with, getting the contractors on board and having difficulty with contractors. But MRG has committed to, moving this as quickly as possible to try to make this time. So we'll see how that goes. They're currently in the badging process now, so it could take up to 2 weeks to get back. 9 cities of graph in the Agua Caliente concourse. We're seeing about a 30-day delay here due to the space not properly built. And I think I mentioned this at the last meeting. that were running into some code violation issues as they started to open up the walls, and so that has required some additional re-engineering from the design company for Perry's. So I think right now I have it plugged in for, right around March 1st. It was moved from February 1st to March 1st. Las Palmas Oasis in the Bono. This is, the new retail store. Again, same story with MRG. They're starting all the spaces pretty much at the same time. So a slight delay here, but they are committed, again, to trying to make up as much time as possible. Uptown Essentials is in the new retail store in the Agua Caliente concourse, and again, this is with MRG as well, so again, they're expected to get their badges here within the next couple of weeks and start on all of these spaces. And then Cactus the Clouds is in our Bono, and actually the barricade wall, part of it went up last night, and they're gonna be finishing the rest of the barricade wall today, I think tonight. And that will be, they'll be starting to demo the fountain area there in the Bono and turning that into the center bar area. And we're still expecting about May time completion for that. El Marisol, there's another, slight change here that we'll be bringing to the ad hoc committee as well. Verity's is working through a name change here, and they are speaking with a couple different restaurants, but it looks like, a deal probably gonna be made with Las Casuelas as it's looking like now. And so as soon as we kind of hear the final pieces of that deal, then we'll bring that back to the ad hoc as well. So we'll be coming back to the ad hoc committee with the name change as well as the paint door change.
That's great.
Let's see, what else? Victoria and I also met with Paradigm's leadership this last week and, discussed adding more coffee signage and adding another coffee kiosk and kind of doing our best to kind of fast track any additional coffee ideas. So some of those ideas, Dan was working on with the sign coming out of the TSA. We're looking at adding more coffee signage to Half Moon Empanadas so that you can't miss it. It says coffee available there. We're also going to add some more coffee signage to the Santa Rosa kitchen because people don't realize that they have espresso machine in there and they can do lattes and mochas. And so there's nothing that says any of that there. So we're going to add more signage there as well. So there's going to be, will not be able to miss the coffee options that we have.
That directory sign, Jeremy, in the coffee section, it has Santa Rosa Coffee House, and then also, the Having Empanadas. Then underneath each one, it says what they offer. Maybe it's just like, I think empanadas like just like lattes and mochas. The coffee house has like a wide variety and specialty items. And then Santa Rosa has like the Americano, the latte, and the mocha, the freeze. Like, and it tells them what they can get at each location.
Just so you know, the coffee issue was raised by Scott White and told us a couple months ago, like, different times, David Feldman has been crazy about this as well. Just not enough places to get it. So thank you for finding more spots, into the signage. I think people will notice the big difference. That's great. That's great. And the big sign that's telling people where to go and what to do, I think that's great as well, because that's something we asked.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be printed on, our staff is building the structure for it. It's gonna be in plexiglass back, so we actually have a vinyl clean that can go off. So we'll be able to change it out frequently as more things open and close throughout the whole concessions construction program.
I'm also pleased to hear that Las Consuelos is moving forward. That's a big win for us if that works. And so keep us in touch on that. And then the folks who are on the ad hoc concessions committee, you'll let us know when we'll get together as a subcommittee and find out any of the details. If there's anything big that happens on that particular issue before our next meeting, we'll find a way to advise the commission, let you know what's happening. That was a big switch, a big deal, but Las Consuelos will be a great solution. So good news. Any other questions? Thank you for that. Okay,
Question mark?
Yeah, can you briefly talk to us about what the revenue is to the airport from the new concessions? Is it just rent or is there some other forms of revenue that come?
Good question. That's not really in my wheelhouse, but it's
Victoria can give you the number, but it's both rent and a percentage of sales, and the sales, percentage of sales is tiered based on activity, so they can give you the details.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just kind of want to give you some numbers too. So so everybody, Mr. Barrett's correct. We get a percentage of sales. And it depends on the contract that was negotiated during the request for proposal and the evaluation. So, so Marshall Retail Group provides us a 20% of gross sales. And then the Parodies, they are providing us 12% on food and 15% on alcohol sales. So we are also, with the new change that we have at the Pink Door with Marshall Retail Group, we are going to be renegotiating some change in a tiered rate, so that once we get to a certain percentage, then we can get more of a percentage. I'm sorry, once we get to a certain gross sales, we will get more of a percentage back. So, so that's the only space that we're doing a tiered approach on. And I don't have those numbers for you because they're still getting worked out and finalized. And then we also would have to take that to the city council for them to approve the amendment to the contract. So we're still working out those details. I do want to say that our temporary units and our new sales went into place as of September of 2023. And when I was going through and looking at the sales from September through November, because I'm still waiting on December's numbers for one of the companies. When we're looking at the food and beverage sales, there's a 28% increase in food and beverage from the old contract to the new contract. So we're getting a little bit more of our revenue from that food and beverage with the new contract. Now, for the retail side of the house, and mind you, these are temporary units that are in place. We're getting about 7% more of sales to the airport. So we're getting a good, we negotiated a really good deal with both of the contracts that we have in place for the new concessions programs. And then like Mr. Keating mentioned, we're working on providing a better passenger experience with both of Marshall Retail Group as well as Parodies Lagardère, so that we can have more options for our passengers even through our construction process. And one of the great things about Las Casuelas is that it is a local company that we want to definitely showcase the Palm Springs flavor. And so we're really excited to have them on board with us as Parodies works through all of the details. But yes, sorry for the long-winded answer.
Great news, makes sense? Okay. Move forward, please, projects and airport capital improvement programs.
Thank you, Chair Corcoran. So most of my update is in writing in your packet. However, I did want to highlight a couple of things. First, the master plan is going to go, at least the terminal alternatives of the master plan is going to the city council next week on the 25th. This is the alternative 1A that you all voted on in our last commission meeting in December. We will be presenting to the city council, kind of walking them through the rationale for how we arrived at 1A and letting them vet that. But hopefully that'll be approved at the 25th meeting. Next steps, at least on the terminal side of things, is a financial feasibility plan, how we're going to pay for it. The alternative we selected is around $2.2 billion, so we've got to figure out how to make the math on that. And then an airport layout plan update, which needs to be approved by the FAA, and that's going to take quite a bit of time, probably about 6 months. So we'll wait for their approval with that change. As far as the airside alternatives, that's the next thing that the master plan working group is going to tackle. So they're going to look at things like the runway, its ability to handle certain types of aircraft, the taxiway system, where certain facilities are on the airfield, such as FBOs, fueling services, things like that. Implement newer technologies such as eVTOL, electric aircraft, takeoff and landing aircraft. All of those things are going to be looked at the next working group meeting, which is coming at the end of this month.
Do we have a date for that here?
Christina might have the date.
I need to look it up.
Yeah, just look it up and let us know who this things.
She'll give you the date in a second. So we'll be working on that in the next working group meeting. I did want to highlight for the commission that as we're doing that, we're already starting to do some transition planning here on the airport staff. So we're looking at potentially what phasing will look like. One of our on-calls is going to start working on helping us identify how they think it should be phased and what that schedule should look like. But there are going to come some operational challenges with that. So we are going to start looking at, particularly with expansion of baggage claim, what we need to do with the rental cars that currently exist in that space, where they need to be relocated, how we're going to facilitate customer experience during that process. Whether that's going to be in front of the terminal or in an overflow lot, whether there needs to be a busing operation, all of those things need to be figured out. And for the next foreseeable future, probably the next year or so, there's going to be a lot of those type of activities when it comes to phasing and planning out the facility. So we're already starting to work on that internally, and we'll certainly update the commission as we go through that.
The master plan working group meeting is this Thursday, the 25th at 10 a.m.
Can we also put the master plan folks on the list of subcommittees? Is that possible?
It is not a subcommittee. It's a working group, which is different. It's,
Did you have? I'm just thinking, there's some new commissioners who want to cite this thing.
okay,
We can talk.
yeah, let me think about that for a minute here. See what I can do.
One more time, it's the 24th, the 25th at 10 o'clock. Yeah, I got it. We got it.
Are there any questions about the master plan process? Nope. Okay, the next thing on the list, we weren't able to get this on the commission agenda, but we did take an on-call services master contract with the city council on the 11th of this month. Background for you all. So our on-call services with WSP, with Gensler, and with RSNH, their 5-year contract expired back in July of last year. So we've been operating without architectural, planning, engineering, environmental services for about 6 or 7 months now. We finally were able to get that procured. Contracts were awarded. We did that over the fall. We made a selection in December. And because the selection was made mid-December, we weren't able to get it in front of the commission for vetting. So we ended up taking that directly to the city council. They did approve and sign off on that on the 11th of this month. That's with 4 different firms across 5 activities. Those activities include architectural, engineering, environmental, planning, and construction management. We went to 4 different firms: RSNH, Gensler, Innovistas, and AECOM. There's also a separate standalone contract that's going to the council this next meeting. I believe it's this next meeting, right, Christina? For the meeting on.
Yes, it is on the 25th.
And that standalone contract was because we had awarded we had awarded architectural to AECOM. And we didn't want them to be responsible for designing and then constructing what they designed. We felt like there was conflict there. So Mead & Hunt will be doing construction management specifically on the inline baggage handling system project. So they'll be sending that to council any day now. Are there any questions about that?
Any questions on the executive report? The detail, we're all up to speed. Right. Folks online, we're good? Okay. That's the same thing as the executive report, so we're good. Right?
No, that's CFP. I have one thing for the executive director. Okay. On the executive director report side, I just wanted to highlight the airport reorganization bullet there. So we are making some headway on getting our positions filled. Maybe not as quickly as we'd like, but we're making some headway. One thing that I wanted to highlight, I spoke with Human Resources and they wanted me to, they wanted to pass on some information to me. So I'm correcting record from a previous commission meeting. But apparently their timelines with their tracking is they've reduced our recruiting and hiring process from 120 days to 90 days. They are showing that the airport currently has a 60% attrition rate for newly hired personnel. There are a number of reasons for that attrition rate. Part of it is we're bringing people in and they're looking
at job descriptions, not really understanding the job they're going to be doing when they get in the door, and how that job may differ from other activities that may happen throughout the city. Part of it is salary, part of it is just, you know, the natural flow of things where people come in, realize it doesn't work out for them and they decide to leave. So we're gonna try and close that gap, but that's what we're showing right now. Of the 86.5 FTEs that we have budgeted for this year, we still have 21 vacancies. We're gonna try to close that out by the end of the year. And that's all I have to update on that.
How much is the attrition rate? Is that in a 1 year period or a 6-month period, or what is that look like?
That's a good question. We're trying to get clarification on that because we think it's more or less since July 1st, but I can't guarantee that. I'm trying to get clarification.
A little scary. Questions about it?
Commissioner Whiteman?
So if you, we probably haven't gotten this information, clarification, but I'd be curious, you know, if it's.
Have a little loud, please.
If it's happening in a particular department more than another.
We saw it a lot earlier this year on our maintenance side, particularly in the custodial ranks. And part of the reason for that was that job was titled maintenance worker one. So people come in expecting to do maintenance work, not custodial work. And when they were finding out that they had to do things like toilets, that then became a problem. So we've since corrected that. We worked with HR on that job description and tried to correct that. We're also seeing it a little bit on the administrative side. One of the things that happened earlier this year was the city reclassified a number of classifications and basically combined a number of job descriptions into one job description. So people who were expecting to come in to doing lower level duties were suddenly tasked with doing higher level work, and vice versa. People were expecting to do higher level work were like, what is this? I'm answering phones. So we're trying to work through that process.
All good? All right, let's move forward. Commissioners' requests and reports. I have two. In our noise committee meeting at 5 o'clock today, we had two folks who presented to the public complaining about noise coming in from the Enterprise car rental wash location. And we were not able to discuss it here because it's not on our agenda. So the city and the airport has done some things to try to mitigate some of this problem, but two of our residents raised the issue. And I just want to see if we can confirm, we'll put that on the agenda for next month, so all of you can hear about this and we can talk more about it. The second thing is, we did have a communication, and thank you, Daniel, for sharing with me, with a community member who was raising the issues around people who take advantage of parking here and leaving their cars for weeks at a time, perhaps. And the point the person was trying to make is, you know, part of the problem we have is this, from their perspective, people are camping out. And this is at $20 a day, it's a hell of a deal. And it's preventing people, especially in holiday times, for having access to parking that's close to the facility. So Daniel and staff have communicated with the citizen, and explained the processes and how we communicated with people during the high holiday times about, you know, parking remotely if the slot is full. So I just have one request. It would be interesting to know, is it possible to find out how many people, how many payments perhaps are for more than 7 days or more than 5 days? Is it possible to get that data?
We do have that data,
Do you?
and Victoria can provide that at the next meeting.
All right, let's talk about that at the next meeting. Because, you know, one of the ideas is, should we charge like $80 a day for people who extend more than 2 days? And I thought, well, you know, the pricing is going to move people to a long-term lot. Maybe we should talk about that. So there's a lot of things to say, a lot of research has gone into this, feedback that Daniel and others have led. So let's just talk about that, and having that data would be interesting to know. I'm not recommending anything, but I think it's something we should talk about. And Commissioner Feldman, I shared it with him and we want to talk about it. So if you can put that on the next agenda. Are there any other requests from other commissioners?
So I'll let Kevin, on the web, for the parking lot rules, nobody's allowed to park more than 30 days. We do have it on the website and published, so people like, they can't stay up to a month, but they actually have to pay and leave and come back in, I guess, if they want to do more.
I noticed that there is, I recently noticed a bunch of cars parked around the bottom of 31 left. And it looks like I'm not sure if it's for sale or what they are, or whether it's parking related. Can we either add that to this or to get some information about that?
I can briefly answer that question for you, but those are actually, when the car rental companies they have more inventory than they're renting out. We have to find other areas for them to park on the airport because they're not gonna be accommodated over here. So we're leasing that space out to the car rental companies for that reason.
Thank you.
Last meeting, I brought forth a citizen's request about the signage, ride share and the wording on that. Is there any update on that?
Oh, the
This
ordinance,
is it.
the ordinance piece?
The ordinance.
Yes, we still have to write the ordinance to get that out.
Let's follow up on that in the next meeting. Okay, all right. Any other requests? Kevin, you good?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think the differential between the main lawn parking and the overflow, I'm surprised it's not a big request because I've heard comments from our friends and companies. Express that.
That's what I'm talking about. There may be some solution in all of this, and I think the person who brought it forward makes some interesting ideas. I just want to see the data. You know, how many people are really camping out there for multiple days and taking advantage of this and blocking these spaces that are so close to the entrance? You see how big a problem it is. All right. Anything on city council actions in the balance of? We're all good?
Yes.
All right, it is 6:30. Can you believe it? Wow, left us all. All right, so, all right, perfect. 6:30 was my goal. Anyways, thank you all for all you do, and thanks for participating. Thanks for you on Zoom for joining us. And our next meeting is
February 21st.
February 21st, 5:30 here. And thanks again for your participation. Happy New Year.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.